Full Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Here locally in the community, make sure y'all go check out New Cat Body by Jeremy Thomas.
Good afternoon. It's Lions Talk with Smoke and Jeremy B. How's everybody doing? Great to be here. Ready to talk some football. We got the details about the Justin Jefferson cap breakdown per year. And for the first 2 years, it isn't horrible. This year he makes 8.5. Next year he makes 15.3. The next year he makes 39.1. In 2027 he makes 43.4. In 2028, he makes 47.3, and in 2029, it's a $6 million void year. So it still breaks down to 35 million per year as an average, but we all knew GMs make these moves to make it stretch the money out, make it hit late. That way you're not overburdened right off the rip. So other than that, it's an Ask the Host day. So if you got any questions, pop them in. We'll see what's going on. Today is the first day of Lions camp for the voluntary OTAs. We'll see who is the standouts tomorrow because until the end of the day, it won't be announced. So what do y'all want to talk about? Who's the next quarterback to be paid? Who's the next wide receiver to be paid? I think it'll be CD Lamb. I don't see how the Cowboys can let CD Lamb walk out the building and usher in a new quarterback or keep Dak and let him leave. Either way, that's not a good combination. CJ Stroud said if the Lions would have gave Matthew Stafford a chance, he could have been just like Aaron Rodgers. I completely disagree for one reason. We put a complete team around him and he couldn't get it done in the playoffs. You can say it was the picked up PI flag. You could say it was any number of things. But overall, Matt Stafford stunk it up in that Cowboys playoff game. We went away from the run. The play calling was atrocious on the offensive side of the ball, and the defensive play calling in the second half wasn't much better. We allowed them to come back. So you can say whatever you want, but the defense playing poorly was mostly because they were gassed because we stopped running the ball in the second half. There was a lot of problems with that 2014-15 wild card game. I see we got 2 people watching so far. I wonder where everybody's at. Must be a lot of stuff going on with it being hot outside and nice out. Everybody wants to go play and have fun. Man, everybody's quiet today. Whew. Ask the host day because there's no news because it's first day of camps. And um, other than former Lion Brandon Pettigrew was arrested in Texas for an altercation at a convenience store. They almost had to tase him. Don't know what happened there, but he was arrested and then released on an OYR ticket to come back to court. Former Lions getting in trouble this year. Glad they're off the team. I mean, I understand that Brandon Pettigrew's retired because after we drafted Ebron, he was an afterthought, which sucked because the year before we drafted Ebron, Brandon Pettigrew set the franchise record for catches and yards by a tight end. How do you do that? And then draft another tight end as a top 10 pick over the needs on that roster that year. It made no sense to me. No comments. Wow. Living up Leonard. Hey, it's Mrs. Leonard. Thanks for popping in because I was getting scared. Nobody wants to talk to me. I was scared. Whew. I thought no one was seeing me there for a minute. I was getting scared. I was like, is everybody watching on Roku and just deciding not to chat? If you're over on the Twitter side, for some reason it doesn't send the chat over to the restream side. Hop on in on YouTube and we will talk. And I will respond. I don't know who's here, but wow, it's scary when it's dead. But Cap Room, the Netflix deal, the raise in ticket prices, now they projected instead of 9 to 15, you're looking at a 20 to 25 million dollar increase next year in the Cap Room, which will push it to 78 to 278 to 283 million, which means the next increase could push us over 300 million a year. And if you look at that, the average market value, it's keeping that number lower. So percentage wise, I get it. While everybody out there is really, really Wow, nobody's commenting. This is weird. I usually have a million hi JBs or good afternoons by now, but that's okay. We'll get her done. And every QB, if you go look, they definitely get worse with pressure. It's why I'm glad we focused on the trenches. Focusing on the trenches is why we kept off. If we wouldn't have been able to get that right guard caliber for starter that we got, I don't know. But ask the Lions fans that are out there if you're willing to talk today, because this is getting crazy. Um, who would you rather have, Jared Goff or Jordan Love? Yoli Cruz. That's directed directly at Lions fans, Oli. It's not a knock against the Packers. For some reason, my Twitter didn't go live. Hmm. You're not even a Lions fan, Leonard. That don't count. I'm doing great. Thank you, Yoli. How are you today? About time I had some commenters show up. I was getting scared that I was all alone. You look lonely, so I answered. I was getting there. My students graduated today, so it's a happy and sad day at the same time, right, Yoli? You're happy they graduated, but you're sad because they're gone, and you got to deal with a whole new batch. You've got to groom for a year, correct? I don't know where everybody's at. Normally, we got everybody in here. Eric Whitson, thank you, sir. Go Lions all day long. So I have to ask, are you like most teachers during the summer? Do you take like a 2 week vacation and then hit the bottle? Because I know a lot of teachers that do that. I'm not trying to be mean, but that's what they usually do. Is it becomes it's 5 o'clock somewhere. I did good with them. Now they're on a new journey. Absolutely, a journey into adulthood. I believe you teach seniors. Is that correct? You teach high school, or is it middle school? You teach. I got to get this going on Twitter. For some reason, it's not live on there, and I see it's live everywhere else. So let's copy this link and let's get it on my Twitter and get it rolling because that explains why I have less people watching. So, but I know a lot of teachers who do that. They take that 2 weeks, they go on their vacation, they go have their fun, they relax for a couple weeks, and then they come back home, and then they sit around with their friends, usually other teachers, around a campfire in their backyard or at the grill in the shade, and they sit there and drink together all week, all summer. That's what happened in Bay City all the time. The teachers I know, it was funny, but yeah, that's usually what happens. So if you're going to take a vacation, I would suggest coming across that pond to the east of Wisconsin and coming over to visit us over here in Michigan because we have a lot of places that are cool to see too. So I got into a discussion earlier on the Ken and Ken show, and we were talking about wide receivers and who would be a one. And I said T. Higgins would probably be a one on about 10 rosters. And Dan Leonard, tell me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't Higgins be a one or a 1A, 1B on the Giants roster? If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Because I said, because of the skill set, Amon Ra would be considered the one, but it's kind of like a 1A, 1B if he was on the Lions roster too, because T. Higgins is a proven commodity over everybody else on the roster. And I'm just throwing that out there. These are hypotheticals. I'm not saying anybody should go out and sign them. I'm just talking. I said even the Falcons, he'd be a 1A, 1B with Drake London. I said he'd be a 1A, 1B in Arizona, and it probably would make MHJ better if they had a better quarterback. But I still think because of the way they built this team around Goff for the long haul, I would take Goff over Jordan Love just for that reason. We didn't build this team around Jordan Love. We built it around Jared Goff. Do I think Jordan Love could make it on this roster? Probably. But much like last year, he would struggle through half a season, just like he did with the Packers. It's changing a scheme, changing the play calling, changing the verbiage, changing everything you do. And that takes time to adjust. And that's why coaching continuity, quarterback continuity, and offensive line continuity is very huge in the NFL. We've seen a high turnover rate outside the Lions at the offensive line positions. Why? The only reason why you saw somebody leave the Eagles is they retired. That's still a good offensive line that should help a young center mold himself to take over for Kelsey. I think they're going to be fine offensive line wise. Are they fine Jalen Hurts wise? Reports are Kenny Pickett's looked better both weeks out of camp than Jalen Hurts. That's not a good sign when you just paid him that massive amount of money. And Dan Campbell said it best on what we want Hooker for. We want Hooker to know the offense this offseason, be ready to rock, That way, if something happens to Jared, he can step in and take over for a few games and be competent. That's all we need him to be this year. And I said this all along. If Jared Goff gets re-signed, that's what we'll do is we'll keep grooming him. I don't see him as trade bait. I don't think that makes sense. And I don't see trading for Ryan Tannehill, who's less athletic than Jared Goff, is any better as a backup because he would still have to learn the system and start all over. It'd be like, excuse me, grooming an old hooker, an old Hendon hooker. Remember, Tannehill's almost 35, 36 years old now. He's been in the league a long time. There's a reason he's still out there in free agency. There's a lot of them journeyman quarterbacks out there in free agency, but they'd all have to learn the roster. It'd be no different than teaching Hooker this season. But with 40 million, do we really need to add anything? I don't think so. Take away the 2 million for the dead cap hit, the adjusted cap, that's 38 million. And unless they want to sign Jake Bates here in a couple weeks, if they lose in that playoff game, other than that, I really don't think we need anybody. We got a solid rotation of special teams players. We got a solid rotation in the backfield. I mean, if they want to add somebody like Justin Simmons and kick Kirby Joseph to be the backup, I'm all for it. But I don't think they want to spend the kind of money he wants because I heard he was wanting north of 20 million per year to be one of the top 3 paid safeties, and I just wouldn't do it. And I expect the Cowboys to be like they are every year. They're going to win that 10 to 12 game window, maybe 13. They're, that's what they do. They win that, they get to the wild card or the divisional round, and unfortunately, ever since they won their Super Bowl, their last Super Bowl, that's where they exit every time they make it there. And that's not being rude, that's talking facts on what's happened over since 1996-97 season. So with Jay Jetta getting that average of 35 million per year, it doesn't break down to that much. Like I said, I got the yearly cap breakdown right here. 2024 8.5 million, 2025 15.3, 2026 is 39.1, 2027 is 43.3, 2028 is 47.3, and 2029 is a $6 million void year. James Burgess, our exact cap sits at 38.6 million adjusted for the cap. So we got 38.6. But like I was saying, other than signing Jake Bates, and I don't even know if we need to anymore after the performance that Badgley did outside, James Turner looks like he's going to be here doing the kickoff duties only. Jack Fox for the punting. And Michael Badgley's hitting 61 yarders with 3 or 4 yards of clearance outside at Allen Park in the facility after going, what was it, 5 for 5 or 8 for 8 that day? Let me see. I got to go look again. That was just last Thursday in camp. He did that. Oh, hit 8 in a row from beyond 53, including a 61-yarder. Eight in a row from over 53 yards outside, not in Ford Field, outside. That's huge. He's never done that in his career, whether in practice or outside. So I'm happy to hear that Badgley is working on his leg strength and his accuracy, evidently, because outside it's much harder to kick it than it is indoors. And thank God we play our first 11 weeks indoors. I think that's what I saw. Let me double check that schedule again. Oh, hell, I got it on here. Gratis. You're welcome, sir. Home, home, away, dome. Home dome, away dome, away dome, home dome. Week 9, we're outside. Away dome that is a retractable roof. Home dome, at a dome, home dome, home dome, home dome, outside, outside. So our only 2 cold weather games are in week 16 and 17. We have 15 of our games inside. That's great, Will. Glad to hear it. By the way, I also have some news from last season during the playoff. Do you realize what the most watched divisional game playoff game telecast in the last 30 years? Uh over the over the cap is pretty basic, but it lines up the next year's cap space is easier to read. Whereas Sport Track is more detailed and gets more precise. And that's why the adjusted cap is 38 million because they already took out the 2.1 million dead cap after Sutton's contract was voided because excuse me, he was on the roster after the free agency period, so therefore he had some money due him. Not the guaranteed bonus, but some money due him due to being on the roster, ready to work out. And he was at the facility when the news broke. So we had to pay him those roster bonus monies of like the 2.8 million. I don't know if Lamb gets as much as JJ, but if Jerry Jones was smart, I would rather pay CD Lamb than Dak Prescott. But I was trying to break something here. Over the last 30 years, the most watched NFL divisional playoff telecast was the Detroit Lions versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It averaged 40.4 million viewers across the network's Peacock, NBC, and NFL digital platforms. Detroit was the number one TV market by far with a 40.5 Nelson rating. Let me repeat that. We were the number one watched divisional playoff game in 30 years. So since 1994, who was in that divisional game? Oh, the Lions. I just think that's pretty cool. The records that were set for away attendance by an away team. Um, and it's not as big of a deal to have a second straight season of sellout of season tickets. It's just a sign your team's getting better. That's all it is. It isn't a woohoo, let's celebrate. We're the best team in the world. No, it's the second season in a row because our team is getting better and the fans are finally happy to be season ticket holders. It's something we should be proud of, but we don't need to throw a party over it. I hope I made sense on how I'm wording it, because I know that some people have overhyped it. Panthers have released what they want to do with our stadium for future renovations. What is it, Will? Put it in the chat. Hey JB, what are you looking for in the mandatory mini camp this week? Considering it's more of the pajama Olympics, it's just whatever they write about. I can't be there because I work in the afternoons. So I want to hear about continuity. I want to see how it looks with Reeder, Davenport, Betts, and Hutch, and how they do and how they perform with the four-man front, with everybody being there. DJ Reeder, this is huge, guys. DJ Reeder went back and watched all the film on Broderick Martin and said everything he did good and what he could do to be better, because he noticed when he was in those double teams there was things he could have done that could have broke the double team to get through, and he made notes of it and gave them to Broderick Martin to work on this offseason. How huge is the DJ Reeder signing now? So that's the thing I'm interested in seeing, is how well Reeder works with that front line and how well Broderick Martin is going to take to the knowledge he was just giving by a seasoned vet who'll be 30 in July, who's on this roster. Been in the league for 8 years now. This is his ninth season. He's only had 9.5 sacks, but he's a true dog of a nose tackle that stuffs up the run bigger than snot, which is exactly what we want Broderick Martin to be. Exterior video boards outside stadium, also new seats. When I read more, I'll send it to you. Okay. You talking about D.E. Bader? Who's Bader? You mean Betts? Our resident said defensive end Betts was standing out some, because I don't know a Bader on the team. I just looked on the roster on DetroitLions.com. Let me see. Yeah, I talked about that yesterday. It was one of the first things I broke with because that was huge. Betts. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Matthew Betts has been standing out some, but at the same time, Davenport wasn't there yet because it wasn't mandatory camp. Reeder was there because he wanted to get comfortable with Martin. He wasn't actually practicing; he was more working with Martin, which is huge. Jack Campbell was there, but Alex Anzalone wasn't. Steel Chambers was there, who looks good on special teams, but that's about it right now. Um, Caden Davis was there. We heard good things about him. We heard some good connections between JMO with Goff and Hooker for different reasons. They've been working on JMO and his getting to the sideline, his cuts at 15 yards or less, uh, more of the inside route, making it look more like he did at Alabama. And everybody says, "Oh, why would you do that?" Because his speed after the catch is so amazing. He can still make people miss with his speed. You want him to build that rapport with Goff on those short and intermediate routes, because that is what Goff excels at. Goff is not the deep ball passer he was in 2018. While granted he has a high completion rate, it's because he's smart when he makes those throws, and he throws them to where only his player can get to him about 85% of the time. So say what you want. His deep ball is not as good as it was in 2018. Oh, nice. Put it in the chat, buddy. Not this chat, the messenger chat. We'll talk about it and put the whole article there. But we do got some big boys on this roster, just not in the wide receiver room. Yeah, Larry Allen passed away yesterday. Actually Sunday. I talked about it yesterday. Um, 52 years old, almost 2 years younger than me. Sorry to hear about it. I mean, I remember the play when he was versus the Saints when the linebacker caught the interception and he got up off the ground and chased him down from behind and made himself a household name. Larry Allen was a beast. Say what you want. He he was a quiet guy in that lineup because he lined up opposite Nate Newton. They didn't need bookends there, but they had them too. Remember, John Madden made the joke about the 3 tons of wall that was in front of Troy Aikman those years, and it was 3 tons of wall. Waiting to see what the Terrion Arnold contract will be because that's when you'll see the cap change a little bit more. I think it's going to be closer to 5 to 6 million less by that time that's done. Because right now he still hasn't signed his contract. Last I knew, yep, he's still at the bottom, so he hasn't been signed yet. Yeah, that would be fun there, Will. I love training camp and I'd love to go. But they don't do as many of the weekend workouts. I'm waiting for to see if they do a family fun fest again like they did a couple years ago. I would like to go to that. Um, the cap numbers for Ennis Rakestraw, they're actually quite nice. 1.17905 million this year, 1,4,703,000 next year, 1,768,000 in 2026, and $2,063,000 in year four. His total contract as the 61st pick overall is worth basically $6.5 million. That's dirt cheap. If he ends up being 80% of what they thought in a great slot corner, we're gold. It literally counts as 0.46% of the cap. The UDFAs are already signed to the 90-man squad for the preseason. Yeah, I'm interested in that too to see how he does going up against some of our big dogs. Yeah, I talked about it right off the rip. He punched and broke a glass door. He was almost tased, but gave up after arguing with cops after he did it. He was arrested and released on an OIR, but it was in the wee hours of the morning. So therefore, more than likely, probably alcohol was involved. So I have the feeling next season you're probably going to see Aiden Hutchinson's deal done. It's a void year for, I believe, for Alex Anzalone. Zietler will probably be done. It's the odd men out for me. Levi Amuzuriki, Derek Barnes, Ifeatu Melifamu, due to inconsistency. If Ifeatu Melifamu continues to trend like he did when he got to play last year in his limited amount of snaps, um, he'll probably get a deal. Derek Barnes has to be way better. He can't miss a sack on Dak Prescott that costs a 92-yard touchdown or 98-yard, whatever it was. I also broke down the Jay Jetta contract, and per year, it's not as bad as everybody thought it was going to be. He's actually cheap the first 2 years of this deal, and then it starts to balloon. I think year three, it's yeah, 2024. This year, it's 8.5. They restructured it and turned a lot of that cap into bonus to save a little money. So the Vikings might be making a move to sign somebody. Everybody, any non-Lions rookies you're keeping an eye on? Um, Matthew Betts is not a rookie. I'm keeping an eye on him. I'm keeping an eye on the Carlton Davis Amik Robertson battle. I'm keeping an eye on uh Ifeatu Melifamu and Kirby Joseph, seeing how they platoon that same position at free safety now. At strong safety, I want to see if Brendan Joseph, UDFA from last year, can crack the roster and make it as the backup to Brian Branch. Everybody forgets we had him, but it's kind of huge. Oh, any rookies not on the Lions? Not during preseason. I don't pay attention to them until it's season time. Probably Marvin Harrison Jr. It intrigues me what he'll do with a garbage quarterback like Kyler Murray. Um, I'm also intrigued by Xavier Leggett. I'm hoping he can learn how to create separation with his route, seeing how he can't do it with his speed. And he needs to also learn how to catch with his hands rather than his body, which leads to the ball being separated up from him on contact. So I'm interested in that. I'm interested in seeing the development of Malik Neighbors with the Giants. Uh, Joe Alt and how that shores up the left tackle situation in San Diego, because we all know Rashawn Slater was said to be quote unquote better than Panay Sewell's rookie season. Dwayne Keene, happy you hopped in. I'm gonna follow Caleb Williams because he's in our division. But you know what? Don't think you'll see a lot of improvement in the Bears offense until it gets to like week 7 or 8. I hate the fact that we play him kind of back to back late in the season because by that time he'll have his feet wet and he's gotten his stride. And if he is good at reading a defense, he'll be better by then. And season is my point. It- you guys understand what I'm saying? I would rather have more our first round of divisional games in the first part of the season is all I'm getting at. Because our roster is more of a gauntlet up front and then a little tougher in the back, but it's kind of mid if you look at it with everybody we're facing. I mean, yeah, the Dallas Cowboys won the division last year, but with what they done this offseason, do they scare you? They don't scare me. The refs scare me more than the Cowboys roster does. We held Micah Parsons pretty much in check that game, and we covered the point spread in an away game in prime time. Do you realize the last time the Lions lost? The Cowboys aren't scary. You're absolutely right, Bill Vogel. Dak Prescott is an amazing regular season quarterback, but I haven't seen where he's that great in the postseason. Hell, right now Jordan Love is got as many wins as Dak and Kirk Cousins in the postseason. Yep, the adjusted to cap space were third overall at 38.4. Dak Cousins, Kirk Prescott. Um, right. Number one, the coaching. All of them admitted the third quarter was awful on both sides of the ball. They got to be better in the third quarter. Their second half adjustments have to be better. You know what I say? If they haven't stopped it yet, don't adjust. Why run the ball for almost 100 yards in the first half to not run it until the fourth quarter? It doesn't make any sense at all if you have the lead. And we did that a lot last year. We would have the lead at the half and then lose it in the third quarter. Oh, we've been saying McCarthy would get fired for 3 straight years now, and it hasn't happened yet. I think he spends nights at Jerry Jones keeping his job. I think all he wears over there is a robe and takes his KY. The projected cap room, it looks like they're saying he signed here on over the cap. No, it isn't right. It isn't right yet. Oh, yes, it is. Terry Arnold signed a 4-year, $14 million contract with the Lions, including a $7.2 million signing bonus. The 14,343,710 guaranteed with a signing bonus of 7,251, carrying a cap hit of 2.6 million and a dead cap value of 14,995. So his base salary, because they worked this contract and backloaded it great. His base salary this year is $795,000. That's not his cap hit. His cap hit this year is 8 million, like I projected. Next year his cap hit is 1.4. 2026 is 2.8, 2.98, and in 2027 it's 2.75, and then it's the fifth year option in 2028. How great is that contract? Wow. So all our rookies are signed. You heard it here first. Terry on Arnold signed. Yes, all rookie contracts are 4-year deals except for first rounders where you have a fifth year option. That was in the CBA. And that's why they capped it the way they did. Because your average NFL lifespan for any player is 3 years. It's so teams have an out in year 4. That's what it is. Teams have an out in year 4 on every contract. But it isn't a silly question because no one knows unless they ask. But if you read the CBA and studied it a little bit, great show, sir. I got to finish notes for Ralph's show later. No problem. It was good to see you, Will. Yep, and tomorrow night will be the NFL Roundtable Talks live right here, 9 p.m. We also got this show at noon. I'm hoping some more news breaks. Well, the fact that I broke the Terry on Arnold signing, we'll get into more into that. Huge deal though. All the rookies are signed for Detroit. Man, what a great day. The sun is shining. I'm be sweating my tuchus off. We're at work. And we're sitting here talking football 5 days a week, 3 times at night during the week. I love talking football, in case you didn't know. Just in case. You heard it here first. I love talking football. Any other question before we get to this? But all six of our rookies are signed. I'm happy about it. No, no problem. He'll make the practice squad again, guaranteed. Right now, they're saying that Antoine Green and DPJ looks like they're platooning that wide receiver 3 position, according to Ben Johnson and what he said, and that they should do a fine job replacing Josh Reynolds. Whew. Tom Kennedy is the camp cockroach that won't die. That's all I got to say. He's been here forever. It is now time to talk about our sponsors. I hope Yoli isn't in here because she might get angry because my favorite sponsor is FTP, it's for the people, from the people, for the pride. Everybody said it's Pride Month. It should be celebrated here in Detroit. Well, it is. It's celebrated nationwide here, you know. But we have pride for a different reason. How about Levi cut and practice squad? Who knows? He has to really show out to make this roster right now. Levi has to find a spot to fit. He has to earn it. He has to outperform Vets, Houston, Davenport, and Comiskey. And I don't think he can. I think those guys are all better than him. He cannot stay healthy and he does not provide impactful plays when on the field. How you doing, Brent? They need to put TK in the mix and see what he has against the other wide receiver. If he wins, they need to put him as the 3. He has 2 things going against him. He's short, he's not fast. He runs decent routes. He catches a lot of the balls that are put at him. He's a depth piece in case of injury. That's what's going to happen with him. And I'm not trying to be mean, but Tom Kennedy, I don't think he has the talent to make this roster. My other sponsors are Gloss Negron, the best window tinner in Saginaw as of 2023, up for the award in 2024 again. 409 Hamilton Street, Saginaw, Michigan. 989-443-9240 is the number to call if you want to schedule your appointment. Talk to him. Get your car's windows detailed, ready for these hot days of summer, or get it detailed inside. Get it all clean and whipped, ready for that date on the weekend or the vacation you want to go on with the family. Vaki is all signs he's been outperforming Craig Reynolds, not only as a running back, but also on special teams. More than likely, Vaki is probably going to be the 3rd running back. And last but not least, my place of employment, Brandon Service, right at the corner of South Grand Traverse and West Atherton Road in Flint, Michigan. 602 West Atherton Road and 48507 area code. Stop in if you need used tires. They start at $40 a piece and go up from there depending on size and condition of the tire. Or if you need new tires, call 810-233-8230 and ask for your quote for your new tires today. We're not trying to get rich off of one person. We're trying to get rich off of everybody. That's why our prices are so low. And basically, Craig Reynolds has to really show out throughout the rest of the training camp and the preseason. That says a lot. Reynolds is very good. Reynolds is serviceable. He's not very good. I've said this. I've been wanting to cancel our subscription to Netflix for 2 years. He had a great block last year. He's okay on special teams. He's nothing special. Just putting that out there. But thank you, everybody, for watching. It is time to roll. Have a great day. Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place.
Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.